The Varnai homeworld Varnus had once been a jewel in the Perseid cluster. Its oceans sparkled under twin suns and forests stretched for thousands of miles, filled with strange flowers and tall, graceful trees. The Varnai people were gentle and wise, a race of artists, teachers, and healers. They loved learning and creating, not fighting. Their cities were built from glass and metal that shimmered like liquid, rising high into the skies. Their ships moved silently through space, exploring the stars but never seeking conquest. For 1,000 years, the Varnai had lived in peace. Then the Threks came. The Threks were monsters of war, towering over most species, with armor that could deflect energy beams and claws that crushed steel. Their ships were massive and armed with weapons that could burn entire continents in minutes. They did not negotiate. They did not reason. They destroyed. It began slowly. At first, the Varnai thought the Threks were another exploratory fleet, curious travelers like themselves. But the first attack came without warning. The Threks descended on the floating cities of Varnus's northern hemisphere, their ships raining fire from above. The glass towers melted and crashed into the oceans. Bridges and transport lines burned. People screamed and ran, but there was nowhere safe to hide above ground. The Varnai fought back as best they could. They had no weapons of war, but they used energy shields and automated drones to protect civilians. They attempted to defend their cities, but the Threks machines were too strong. Entire districts fell in hours. By the time the first day ended, thousands of Varnai were dead, and many more were trapped beneath rubble. Commander Kale, a strong man with silver hair and a quiet voice, watched the destruction from his command center deep underground. The center was built into the mountains, a network of tunnels and chambers designed to withstand earthquakes, storms, and minor attacks. But the Threks were not minor. They were endless. Kale had spent decades planning for possible threats, but nothing could have prepared him for this. He turned to his assistant, Lyra, a young woman with sharp eyes and a calm presence even in chaos. "We have to send a call for help," Kale said. "We cannot hold them much longer." Lyra hesitated. The Varnai had never contacted other species for military aid. They believed in diplomacy and knowledge. Asking for help in war felt wrong, almost shameful. But the fire reflected in her eyes, and she knew there was no choice. "I will prepare the transmission," she said. "We will reach the stars," Kale nodded. The transmission was unlike any message the galaxy had received before. It was not a demand or a threat. It was a plea. It explained their plight, the Threks attacks, the burning cities, and the desperate need for help. It spoke of the Varnai's peaceful nature and their hope that someone, somewhere, would hear them. They sent it first to the Galactic Central Alliance, a network of species that had existed for centuries. But days passed and no reply came. The Alliance had its own politics, its own wars, and it seemed no one cared about a single race at the edge of the cluster. Kale watched the silence grow heavy in his chest. Every passing hour meant more death. Every hour meant the Threks advanced further. The Threks attacks grew stronger. They moved faster than the Varnai could track, striking cities in the south while leaving the north in flames. Kale and his team attempted to evacuate survivors to underground shelters, but the Threks hunted the escapees with flying machines that could sense heat and movement. Even the Varnai children could feel the terror. Small ones with soft blue skin and luminous eyes, hid in dark tunnels listening to the roaring of the Threks ships above. Kale often found himself visiting these shelters, sitting with them quietly, holding their tiny hands and telling them stories of hope. "We will survive," he whispered. "Someone will come for us. Someone who does not turn away." He did not know if it was true, but he had to say it. They had no other hope. Weeks passed and the Varnai grew desperate. Lyra worked tirelessly to expand the transmission, sending it further and further into unexplored space. She adjusted frequencies, used ancient navigation maps, and tapped into hidden wormholes. They had nothing to lose. If someone did not respond, their race would die. On the surface, the cities were ruins. Smoke rose from melted towers, and ash fell like snow over the once green forests. Rivers ran black with debris. Animals once abundant had fled underground or had been destroyed. The Varnai fought bravely in small groups, using what few weapons they had developed over decades of theoretical study. But the Threks were like a tidal wave. They could not be stopped by intelligence alone. One night, Kale stood on a cliff overlooking the ruins of his capital city. The twin moons reflected off the broken buildings, making the destruction appear almost beautiful in the pale light. He thought about the message they had sent, drifting through the stars, and wondered if anyone would hear it. He imagined countless species receiving it, reading the words and then looking away, just like the Galactic Alliance had. "I am tired," Kale whispered to Lyra. "Tired of waiting." "You cannot give up," Lyra replied. "If we give up, it is over. But if someone answers, we may live." Kale did not answer. He simply watched the stars, imagining the ships that might arrive. He had no idea what kind of species would respond. The Varnai had only contacted friendly civilizations before. Perhaps a scholar race would come, bringing advice and technology but not soldiers. Perhaps they would find no one at all. Then one day the unexpected happened. Sensors deep in the mountains picked up a faint signature of a ship entering the outer edges of their star system. It was not a Threx vessel. Its energy readings were different, strong, deliberate, and purposeful. Kale's heart raced. Could it be someone coming to help? The ship appeared on the horizon, a silhouette against the burning sky. It moved with confidence, cutting through the atmosphere without hesitation. The Varnai watched in awe. They had never seen a craft like this. Its hull was dark and reflective, with engines that glowed bright blue. Kale activated the transmission beacon. "This is Commander Kale of Varnus," he spoke into the open channel. "We are Varnai. We have called for aid. Please, if you hear us, respond." The ship's response was immediate. Lights flashed, signals bounced, and then a voice came through. Not mechanical, but alive, clear, and human in tone. "We heard your call. Help is on the way." The Varnai could hardly believe it. Humans, a species from the distant planet called Earth, a world known to be harsh, violent, and unpredictable. They had read stories about Earth's history, about how humans had survived catastrophes that would have destroyed other species. Some had feared humans, others had admired them quietly. Kale felt a mix of hope and fear. Humans were known as Deathworlders, able to survive anywhere, able to fight anyone. If they came to help, the Threx might finally have a challenge they could not overcome. But humans were also unpredictable. The Varnai had no idea what to expect. Within hours, the humans landed. Their ships were smaller than Varnai cities, but heavily armed and armored. Figures emerged, walking through the ash and smoke without hesitation. They wore suits that protected them from heat, radiation, and poison. Their eyes scanned everything. Their movements were precise and confident, yet calm. Kale approached them cautiously. "I am Commander Kale," he said. We need your help. Our world is dying." A human stepped forward. He was tall, broad-shouldered, and his voice carried authority without anger. "I am Captain Ryan Cole of Earth. We came because no one else would. Show us where we are needed." Kyle blinked. These humans did not hesitate. They did not ask questions about politics or alliances. They simply came. Their presence alone was enough to inspire hope. The small Varnai children peered from behind rubble, watching these strange beings move like shadows through the smoke, and they felt their fear ease. Lyra whispered to Kale, "They are different, strong but kind. They are not like the others we called." Kale nodded. He knew the war was far from over, but for the first time in months he felt something he had not felt in a long time. Hope. The humans began organizing immediately. They set up communication posts, distributed protective gear, and examined the Threx positions. They did not ask for permission, they simply acted. Kale realized then that these were the Deathworlders of legend, the species that survived where others fell, the species that turned impossible odds into victories. For hours, Kale watched them. They moved with a purpose that Varnai soldiers could not match, making decisions quickly and effectively. They carried weapons, but they also carried a calm confidence that inspired those around them. Kale felt his heart lift. Perhaps Varnus could survive. Perhaps the Varnai would live. As the sun rose over the broken horizon, Kale looked at the humans standing among his people, unafraid of the fire and smoke, unafraid of the Threx that still lingered above. The stars had finally answered the Varnai's plea, and the Varnai, for the first time in months, dared to believe that their world could be saved. The humans wasted no time. As soon as they had landed on the scorched plains of Varnus, Captain Ryan Cole gathered his team. They moved quickly and efficiently, speaking little but understanding each other perfectly. Lieutenant Ava Brooks checked the terrain while Sergeant Liam Hayes inspected weapons and drones. Dr. Natalie Rivers moved carefully among the Varni, assessing injuries and providing what medical aid she could. "Spread out," Ryan ordered. "We need to know what we are up against before we can act." The Varni watched in awe. They had never seen beings who could organize so fast in the midst of disaster. Humans did not panic. They did not hesitate. They simply observed, learned, and prepared. Ryan led a small group to the edge of the capital city ruins. The buildings were collapsed into piles of metal and glass. Fires still burned here and there, sending smoke into the gray sky. Ryan's eyes scanned everything. Every shadow could hide danger. Every movement could be Threk scouts. "Liam, take a squad east," Ryan said. "Check the northern perimeter for any signs of enemy movement. Ava, you and I will examine the southern approach. Natalie, stay with the Varni and keep them safe." The humans split quickly. Their movements were fast but controlled, like predators in the wild but not hunting, observing, learning, preparing. The Varni children followed cautiously, curious and fascinated, peeking from behind rubble. Ava and Ryan crouched behind a destroyed building. "We need to know how many Threks are left," Ryan said quietly. "We can't fight blindly," Ava nodded. She adjusted a small scanner and pointed it toward the horizon. "Sensors show several patrol units," she said. "Some small, some large. They are moving in groups. We need to be careful." Ryan studied the scan. "We'll need to divide their forces, slow them down, and give the Varni a chance to survive." Meanwhile, Liam and his squad moved east. They encountered Threk scout drones moving silently over the ground. Liam raised his hand and motioned for his team to stop. He activated a small device that emitted a pulse, disabling the drones without destroying them. The humans did not kill when they did not have to. They simply removed the threat. Back at the Varni shelters, Natalie worked tirelessly. She treated burns, fixed broken bones with simple devices, and soothed frightened children. Her calm presence gave the Varni hope they had almost forgotten. She spoke to them in their language as best she could. "You are safe now," she said gently. "We are here. We will protect you." Kale watched the humans carefully. They were unlike any race he had ever known. They did not rely on technology alone. They relied on instinct, courage, and speed. They were capable of great violence, but also great care. He had seen many species in the galaxy, but none like these. As the sun rose higher, the humans met to discuss a plan. They used maps, holograms, and data from their sensors. The Varni gathered around, curious and anxious. Ryan explained in simple words. "We cannot defeat the Threks alone, but we can give you a chance. We will set traps, slow them down, and fight where it counts. You will survive if you follow our instructions." Kyle nodded slowly. He had no choice but to trust them. He could not match the humans in battle, but perhaps with their help, Varnus could survive. That night, the humans worked tirelessly. They moved supplies, built defenses, and set up observation posts on high points. Liam's team planted simple traps along the most likely Threks paths. Ava studied the terrain, marking choke points where a few humans could hold off many Threks warriors. Ryan climbed a hill overlooking the valley. He could see smoke rising from the north. The Threks had not stopped. They were relentless, but he smiled. The humans had faced worse. He had fought on planets where gravity crushed men into the ground, where storms could tear a ship apart in seconds, and where enemies outnumbered them 10-1. Varnus would be no different. The humans communicated silently, using hand signals and quick gestures. Their coordination was perfect. They did not need words. Every move was part of a plan, every action precise. Kale observed them, feeling a mixture of fear and hope. Fear because the Threks were powerful, and hope because these humans were extraordinary. Ava found a group of small Varni survivors hiding near the ruins of a research center. She knelt down and spoke softly. "Stay with me. You will be safe if you follow us." The children nodded, their eyes wide. They had heard stories of humans, of the Deathworlders, and now they were seeing them in person. The humans were different. They were terrifying and magnificent at the same time. In the underground shelters, Natalie worked through the night. She treated injuries, prepared medicines, and taught the Varni how to avoid danger. She told them stories of Earth, of humans who had survived wars, floods, storms, and predators. She explained that these humans were trained to survive anything. The Varni listened closely, feeling a sense of security they had not felt in months. Meanwhile, Liam and his squad patrolled the perimeter. They discovered Threx patrols moving closer to the shelters. Instead of engaging directly, they set up ambush points. Using small drones and simple devices, they created false signals to confuse the Threx. When the Threx approached, they were met with explosions that did not harm the Varnai but slowed the enemy. At dawn, Ryan gathered his team. "Today we begin the real fight," he said. "We are not here to die. We are here to give Varnus a chance to live. We fight smart, fast, and without hesitation." The humans moved out into the streets and ruins, setting traps, scouting, and marking enemy positions. The Threx did not know what awaited them. They had conquered countless worlds, but they had never faced humans like these. As the first Threx patrols appeared on the horizon, Liam raised his hand, signaling the team. They activated the traps. Explosions echoed through the ruins. Smoke filled the air, and Threx scouts were thrown into chaos. The humans did not waste time. They moved quickly, striking where it was needed, retreating before the enemy could respond. Kale watched in amazement. He had never seen such efficiency and courage. The humans did not panic. They did not hesitate. They acted, and their actions saved lives. The Varnai began to follow their instructions, moving quickly to safe zones and helping the wounded. Ava led a group of Varnai children to safety through a narrow passage under a collapsed building. She held their hands tightly, guiding them with confidence. The children whispered to each other about the humans, about their strength and fearlessness. Some began to smile for the first time in months. Ryan and Liam fought alongside Varnai volunteers, showing them how to use simple weapons and devices. They coordinated small attacks that slowed the Threx advance. Each success gave the Varnai courage. Each moment of bravery reminded them that they were not alone. By the end of the day, the humans had done what the Varnai could not have imagined. They had slowed the Threx, protected the shelters, and organized the survivors. The enemy had retreated slightly, confused and wary. Kale approached Ryan as the sun set. You are incredible," he said. "I have never seen anything like this." Ryan shook his head. "We are not here to impress. We are here to survive, and we are here to make sure you survive. That is what we do." The Varnai looked at the humans with new eyes. They had heard legends of Earth, of the Deathworlders, but now they understood. These humans were different. They were strong, fearless, and full of determination. They were capable of surviving where others would fall. That night, the humans rested only briefly. They checked traps, repaired devices, and planned the next steps. There was no time for sleep. Varnus was still in danger. The Threx were still out there, and the humans knew that the battles ahead would be harder. Kyle walked among his people, whispering words of hope. "The humans are here. We can live. We can survive." The Varnai looked to the horizon where the stars were beginning to shine. Somewhere among them, the humans were watching, waiting, ready to act. For the first time in months, the Varnai believed in survival. They believed in hope. And so, on the broken world of Varnus, the Deathworlders of Earth prepared to fight. They had come not as conquerors, not as saviors in the traditional sense, but as beings who would endure, who would protect, and who would show the galaxy what it meant to survive against impossible odds. The battle for Varnus had only begun.